Ilia Topuria is looking at planning a move to 155 in his very next fight. I have a slight problem with this because featherweight is still loaded with contenders for him. You have Diego Lopez, you have the Volkanovski rematch, you have Movsar Evloev. Aljamain just lost, but that's interesting. You have a series of great contenders for Ilia. He wants to go to 155 to fight Islam, become a double champ, really add something to help cement his legacy even more. I would love for him to defend the titles a lot more, but we'll see what happens. He is angling to go up to 155 and fight none other than the man himself with the most submission victories, the most bonuses in UFC history, Charles do Bronx Oliveira. Ilia says, since Islam is going to fight in January and he is not going to be ready for April, May, I would like to fight the number one contender, which is Charles Oliveira. Now, you gotta respect it. Most guys, when they jump weight classes, they're looking for that immediate title shot. Ilia saying he will fight Charles Oliveira, who is the number one guy outside of Islam and Arman Sarukian, who are fighting for the belt. Charles is going to fight for the belt next. So for Ilia to call out Charles, it's just, I couldn't think of a more magical fight, right? Going up to 155, knocking off Charles Oliveira, and then fighting Islam, you can have no problems with the man if that's what he does. He even talked about possibly vacating the featherweight championship, which if he did that, even better, because that's my biggest problem. I don't want the division to be held up, any division, but especially featherweight, because it has started to get moving more now that Ilia is the champ. A lot of fresh matchups, and you just don't want the division to stay stagnant. But if he gives up the belt and goes up to 155, that'd be amazing. But I would love for him to stay at featherweight and get like 3 title defenses. Get the Volk one in there, get the Diego Lopez one in there, and then I guess Movsar. And if you beat all 3 of those guys, by all means, jump up to lightweight, test your mettle against Islam Makhachev, providing he still has the belt. A lot of things have to happen beforehand, but just looking at this fight on paper, as a fight fan, like, what else could you ask for? Just looking at the two of them next to each other on the screen just gives me, like, those butterflies for a big fight. I mean, it's just fantasy matchmaking, like, at its finest. Ilia absolutely fucking rolling right now, just destroying everybody and calling his shots. As a Charles Oliveira fan, it scares me because he feels magical right now. Calling his shot against Max, saying he's going to be the first guy to put Max out cold, and then he does it. It's just unbelievable. Volkanovski and Max KOing them in the same year. What else can you say? I thought he should have been fighter of the year, but Alex won it, and Alex had a great year as well. But those 2 victories, better than any victories you can get in MMA, in my opinion. Like, to have those back to back, Volk and Max Holloway, 2 pound for pound fighters, just amazing. If he does go up to 155, let's talk hypotheticals for a second. Ilia goes up to 155, beats Charles Oliveira. How do we like his chances against Islam? I've been thinking about this fight a lot. And on paper, you gotta give the advantage to Islam because of the size, and obviously he is the number 1 pound for pound fighter in the world. Not John Jones, Dana White. Not John Jones. Islam is the number 1 pound for pound fighter in the world. And technically, he is just damn near perfect in the grappling world. And then on the feet, he makes very few mistakes and limits damage taken and minimizes risks and really tries to fight a very clean fight on the feet. Controls distance very well. has power as well in his hands and his legs. So that fight, you got to give the edge to Islam. But the thing that Ilia has right now, obviously, super crisp, amazing boxing on the feet. Probably currently, as it stands today, the best boxer in the UFC. Um, so Ilia definitely has, I'd say, the cleaner and faster and more powerful striking on the feet. But overall, as a whole, Islam has the edge just all around. But Ilia is no slouch on the ground either. Ilia has very good grappling. We've seen that in a couple fights. The Bryce Mitchell fight. We've seen Ilia mix in grappling in most of his fights. He actually started out as a grappler. That was like the scouting report on him going into the UFC. So he is very good down there. But he has just become a knockout artist and like a showstopper on the feet. So you got to give the edge to Islam, but Ilia's got magic right now. Everything he touches turns to gold. He's just at that point in his career. Hate to make the comparison, but it's, it's reminiscent of the Conor thing, calling your shot and then going out there and doing it. Um, so Ilia has that X factor, but on paper you have to give the edge to Islam. Bigger fighter, pound for pound number one guy in the world right now. But Ilia, man, Ilia is making things fucking interesting. And I love this move by him. If he wants to go up, earn it. Yes, you're a champ and you could just go straight for the belt, but no one can say shit if you go through Charles Oliveira first. If you go through Charles Oliveira and then you fight Islam, I mean, first of all, you're talking about early on, just hypothetically, one of the best resumes that you could get. Volkanovski, Max Holloway, Charles Oliveira, and we got to see who else he can add to that list beforehand. But on paper, man, those names just star-studded. I can't wait. I really can't wait to see what Ilia's next move is. There's so many great options. Featherweight, lightweight, whatever he wants to do, I'm all here for it. Um, Armin, Islam, they have to fight in January. We'll see how this shakes up. If Charles takes another fight, if Charles sitting, um, if there's a clear guy at featherweight, I kind of feel like it's Diego Lopez, but we gotta see. I mean, the UFC, they really love Ilia right now, and I think he does have a lot of pull to get what he wants. So we will see what happens.